Pardon. I wasn't prepared for my avatar. No, it's perfect. I'm not being critical. This is this is fantastic. I love it. Yeah. No, I get it. Head on a desk. It This is fantastic. I'm sorry. Carry on. I have I've controlled myself now.
Thank you for telling me. I appreciate that. I was sitting here chatting. I was muted, but you could hear all the laughing, and that's what's important. I didn't say anything. It was just there. Welcome. How are we all doing today? Malevolent and Data and Sasuke in the chat. How are we? ABC, I see you there. There's another couple in here who were here earlier. Today we have Director Arketer. Am I saying that right?
That is, you have it perfect.
And Director Arketer is going to come play on our board today, so let's get this loaded right up.
Welcome to the Great Debate.
Alright, I briefly gave the director an idea of how to play the game, but he's kinda new, so I'm sure he'll do alright. Everybody else has. It's easy, it's fun, it's mild and easy going, and what we do is we let the guest pick a topic.
Shall I start now?
Oh, feel free.
I would definitely like to start with WTF or FTW.
If roles were reversed and we lived in a truly matriarchal society, how much different would things be from how they are now?
This is a good question. Would it be... See, when I get a question like this, I immediately pondered the context. Like, for instance, would it be if it was suddenly reversed now or reversed throughout history? Because, of course, it's anyone's guess either way.
See it as you wish, and let's hear how you see it.
Okay, if we spontaneously flip it now, it's going to be pretty much the same, only, well, they're in charge. There'll be primarily female presidents over... Well, actually, there are quite a few female presidents now, aren't there? Or Germany, I suppose, would still have a female president. Or would that be flipped too? Would Merkel become a man? This is fascinating.
It would be flipped in as to say that a man becoming a president would then be something different and new and the glass ceiling to break.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking it would still be mostly the same, only quite possibly the rare complainers could be slightly more violent than usual. That's hard to say.
The real question...
Someone needs to do a simulation on...
Go ahead, a simulation on what? Huh?
Someone needs to do a simulation of this.
Yeah, in like a VR world.
Yes. So in this case, it's President Clinton who only won because Russia hacked the Republican Party. Which there's no evidence for, no one believes it, but it's all touted anyway.
You often hear feminism and women's rights advocates, though they do have rights. You hear them saying that if the country were run by women, that they would be in a better place right now. Then you kind of take a slight look at Sweden and go, but really, there is a country that exists that's run primarily by women, with women writing the laws, and That country seems to be in worse trouble than most others. So how are we going to say that women would be better suited to run a society if an example that we have of them running a country doesn't appear to be going so well at the current time?
I suppose in this case, the radical feminists would be straight up the military. And there would probably be some mass executions, men for splaining. I believe the trans people would have to go because they would be trying to steal female power. Yes, I have to say, I don't think it's remotely plausible at all to assume that the picture would be that much better.
So
it would be different.
Let's look at a different perspective. Let's try to look at a different view. So after I wrote this question this morning, I was watching some other people's contents about, I want to say it was R.I.P put out a video. I could be wrong. Something about how being courteous and kind was the patriarchy, men wanting something, and we were being courteous and kind because what we want out of the end of it. And I thought to myself, well, don't we kind of live in a society right now where the women kind of are in charge? Most women in a relationship are the ones who say yes or no to sex. Most women are the ones who say they want something, and then men will fight for what their women want. But in a way of speaking, women already do have the power. They just use it differently than most people see it.
Oh, yes. And increasingly so, you're seeing that equality doesn't change all that much. You look at Norway, and wherever there's the lowest recorded rates of equality, there isn't really that much of a stark change from other cultures, like, say, in the US. I suppose in Norway, they've made it double legal to pay someone for a different amount of money for their gender. I'm the impression it was already legal to begin with, but they double legaled it, and I'm sure that will guarantee that no corporation will ever dare do that. At least up until they start using contractors, which aren't held to the same standard.
Yeah, the whole wage thing, you definitely get down to a point, and this plays into the, women have a certain amount of charge or a certain amount of priority, especially among men, where, we're all for fighting for you to get paid time off, but don't do it at the expense of belittling those of us who don't take the paid time off and need to earn the paycheck for our other halves we have at home. And that doesn't quite get seen in a way that's positively reflecting on a family or on multiple units working together, however you want to designate a family. Eliminating gender obstacles. Free choice come through as gendered. Yeah, gender is not a choice you can pick up at the drive-thru, though.
No, it's not. That's something that they definitely go far off with. You see, I grant there are cases where you have true gender dysphoria. There are people who are born with brains that are weird in all sorts of novel ways.
Hold on one sec. Thank you, Saki, for throwing that in there. I'm changing a few things up, so hopefully you guys like the way the look I've got going here. A little better at covering what's going on the stream. So I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. Cash coming in is a high priority issue these days.
It is,
especially in the advent of mass demonetization. I didn't say that right at all. I think I'm running low on caffeine. Anyhow, yes, I think it's looking great personally, and gender is not something you just pick up arbitrarily. Something I've been laughing about, the whole war on the binary. There are so few intersex people in practice. And even when you look at the science documents that some of these foolish people tend to drag up as evidence for the arguments for there being multiple genders, do you know what they consider biological evidence for a third or fourth or fifth gender?
Feelings.
Slightly misshapen genitals. For instance, if you, as a man, should happen to pee off the underside of your dick as opposed throughout the tip, well, according to these scientific documents, they feel that should qualify as another gender, as in, because your dick is ever so slightly weirdly shaped, you're not a real man.
So does
Which
that
I have to
mean,
say is an incredibly dick assumption.
does that, does that mean Chinamen are now a whole different gender?
Yes, they're Chinaman. But this entire argument came from a feminist who I got into an argument with on Twitter, of course. And she was stressing that I was a science-denying bigot, but among other things, I couldn't help but note that apparently men are the wellspring of all sexism, but the solution is clear. Just don't be a man anymore. You can be the seventh gender. I opted for squirclaw. I am now immune to mansplaining. I can only squirclaw explain, and no one would dare.
My skeleton contains no sexual organs.
There you go. You're a whole other gender.
Would you like to pick the next
standard?
According to their own standards. Would you like to pick the next topic on the board today?
Oh, absolutely. Let's go for... Well, let's follow the topic. Sex.
Sex. You are making one of my avid watchers, who is going to watch this back later and comment on it, very happy.
Ah. I'm hypothetically pleased.
It should be noted, if not fully discussed, when someone goes down on you, the flavor they produce is based on their diet.
This is true. I suppose if you're expecting someone to go down on you regularly, you should at least make some effort to try and refine your flavor, I guess. It would seem the courteous thing to do.
I ever so love the sex topic, and it is really hard some days to sit here and go, what is appropriate that I can get away with talking about on YouTube, but still unappropriate enough to let the audience be happy that this category was chosen again. I read an article.
Do you make a dietary supplements?
Yeah, it's what it does is it adds natural sugars to your body.
That's
artificial
right.
Artificial sugars and carbohydrates will make you less flavorable to your partner, and eating nuts, berries, and drinking a lot of water and 100% juice will make you very flavorable to your partner. If you want to taste like candy, do not eat candy.
That is true. And, you know, hey, everyone needs to eat more fresh fruit anyway. It's good for you.
I'm sure everybody knows about this one. This is a hard topic to talk about. We might have to Google to fill in the extra 2.5 minutes. But pineapple juice is one of the best things for you in your love life if you are a very oral person. Pineapple juice is apparently low enough on the acid level but high enough on the sugar level to... pardon the noise, that's my heater. I'm going to kick it off here. It's low enough on the acid level and high enough on the sugar level and goes through your system quick enough that in, I think, 5 to 6 hours, it'll start to feed through your system. Good to know if you want to taste good to grab a can of pineapple juice for dinner. Hold on, I'll be right back.
What a shame. I hate pineapple. I know, I could do just the juice, perhaps. It's mostly the texture I couldn't stand.
Don't drink ocean spray. Ocean spray will not help you. If you read the label on ocean spray, it has a lot of added sugars and added flavors, and those are not good for you. Try Dole, or eat a fresh pineapple. It's very good for you, and your partner will appreciate it too. Anybody?
I like this. I like this chat. This is educational, and this could really help mend bridges in many relationships.
Yes.
That take advantage of this option.
If you like the two numbers that look the same to combine themselves arbitrarily, then eat your fruit.
Indeed. This was basically a public service, and I am proud to have been part of it.
If anybody cuts stuff up, that's that right there is gold. We will cut this topic for the point of laughter. Yes. Some of them don't quite go the 4 or 5 minutes. Other ones go a little bit over, but you know, we deal with it. I leave the timer there. I think just because it's there, I can take it out at any time, and I go in there to write the show up every day, but I never take the damn timer out. So I think it's gonna stay.
Well, that's fine. You know, so maybe there's sometime you have someone on who just won't shut the hell up, and then, you know, I could say that the timer's still there for a valid reason.
Yeah. Sometimes the timer works. Sometimes that timer is important to have. Other times you're like, why do I leave it? So here we are at the board. We aren't doing too bad.
I'm going to lobby for another favorite topic, technology.
Technology is always a wonderful thing to have. Some people are an acquired taste, yes. Technology. The first submarine was an idea in a book. The vacuum bot was first in a cartoon. What are we envisioning now to be created?
I would say the popular topic would be Sexbots presently.
But they're already made.
Yes, they haven't really nailed it, have they? I was just discussing this in the last live stream I was on, in fact. They keep trying to make them look human. What a disaster. Why do they keep doing that? The technology isn't there. You get a Sexbot and say you give it the face of, what was the name of that sentient one that just became an assistant of Saudi Arabia?
I don't keep up that well on the Sexbots.
Well, she wasn't a Sexbot, and this is good because she's the one they're trying to make really smart. So if someone uses her for a Sexbot, that might jumpstart the whole apocalypse.
No, that's the wrong way to go. You do not make Sexbots smart.
Oh no, the bot I'm referring to wasn't being made a Sexbot.
Stretchy. You make them clean themselves. You make them listen. You do not make them talk.
I'm inclined to... Well, you can make them talk, but see, there's a very sharp limit when you cut off the intelligence. Again, stop making them look human. And we've seen lots of sci-fi with really sexy-looking robots, and men generally pop boners for things like cars. So if you're going to go and pursue Sexbots, then you shouldn't be trying to make them look like a perfectly human life companion. You should be making them look like what they technically are, a sex toy.
I don't need my Sexbot to look like a fox or a teddy bear or anything, though. That's not cool with me. I'd rather my Sexbot look like a hot piece of 19-year-old ass with a, you know, really perky C cup.
No, just search for sexy robots, and you'll get a better idea of what's going on. The sci-fi nerds know what I'm talking about. There are options here that just aren't being explored.
Oh man, I gotta figure out why my video card won't let me share what I'm showing, because I would happily look stuff up and show it until I have to, you know, blur or black it out on the screen for those YouTube and Google teachers and whatnot.
I will have you know for the record that I'm very, very dignified. I'm not going to be flashing things on screen. I had a problem with that my last personal live stream. Miss Steam apparently thought she would get me a strike, but I was ahead of the game.
I want to say this is what I would like to see, not to shoot away, but to shoot back at the board. I would like to see a piece of polymer or glass, as it would be, to be my tablet. I don't know how much I'd want to use it if you could see through it, but I think that would be cool to have a piece of glass be able to do that. In addition, I want my smartwatch to project a 6-inch by 9-inch holographic TV screen. So when I turn it on and rest my hand on my, leg, I can just watch TV from my watch. I want to know where that is.
We're really behind on the whole space future they promised, aren't we?
No, this is stuff that's been somewhat shown in more recent movies. The holographic watches, although it was done in Inspector Gadget too. So I guess that.
Oh yes, and
cool.
Penny's computer book is just a laptop that's in a hollowed out book. The only thing that's not really, not quite real is the ability to just spontaneously hack into things by pressing a few buttons in it. But hey, otherwise it's there.
It is. I tried convincing my son, who is 11, that 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is an awesome book because before things were invented, they were in that book.
Oh yes, Byrne was a visionary.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I love to read is how did somebody 20, 40, 60 years ahead of their time write about something in such detail that once it's built, it can't even hold up to the grand detail, but almost identical to what is described.
I once read it posited that, say, Leonardo da Vinci was basically a time traveler who just got thrown back, sort of vaguely remembering the things he knew, try and recreate the designs.
Yeah. Was it Leonardo da Vinci? There was something in 2015 that came out. Somebody wrote something that said that some of his designs were actually stolen from nearby designers. It was one of the ones that it was a predecessor to one of his flying ones. I'm trying to recall which one it was. It was the one that looked almost spiralish, I want to say. There was a report done on how that was stolen from a nearby town and how they had something that was so similar that it could be said that he had stolen the designs. So,
when we're dealing with things that go that far back, are we quite sure he stole the designs and not just one of the designs got out and someone thought to make it?
Or, don't get me wrong, two people having close to the same amount of knowledge in different areas looking at the same type of thing can come up with similar conclusions and have nothing to do with each other.
Oh, absolutely. And you think about it, the more someone tinkers at something to find a solution, then since there are only so many viable solutions, as they get closer to something that would work, their designs would start to look similar.
Yeah, but isn't that because Scotty went back in time and showed everybody in the 1980s or 70s how to make transparent aluminum? There's a reason for this, Data. There's a reason. The future came back to the past and taught us how to do things we couldn't figure out. That's what we need. We need Sunglasses Guy from the 1942 picture to tell us why everything is the way it is now. Do you remember Sunglasses Guy?
That does seem very familiar.
There was a guy who was wearing specific type of shades that weren't produced in 1940s and a hat that wasn't on the market in the 1940s and a picture from the 1940s. I only remember him as Sunglasses Guy. He was seen in a picture. His attire, his hat, and his sunglasses made him stand out in a picture that conspiracy theorists believe he is a time traveler sent back but given the wrong year's attire, and he was sent to blend in. Didn't work so well.
It's intriguing, but if he's from the future, he's not from our future. That much I'm pretty confident about.
Any person sent from the future to make changes would therefore then not be from the future after the change that they made.
Oh, yes.
That
And
would
let's
be
say
called a
even if
time
they,
paradox.
yes, let's say they were really careful. Let's say they plotted it out so that the future resulting almost perfectly matches theirs. It just simply still could not be. But we'll see. Things could just get weirder. Like, we really don't know how weird things can get. But supposedly, the good news is that some eggheads have confirmed that simulation theory is false because they ran a simulation that, if it was simulated, would require far too much computer power to possibly run. I think they might be just trying to make themselves feel better, though.
Yeah, because you can't. See, if we were all living in a simulation, the easiest way found to create a simulation is to just cause the brain to fire its own neurons, not to necessarily link us up to a machine, but to cause for a machine to let our body do what it does on its own, just inhibit it to stay in that mode.
Well, the argument isn't so much that we'd be plugged in the Matrix. It's that there is no real body. That we're all just AIs in a simulation for all we know is a setup, a procedural setup for, I don't know, a first-person shooter. So if alien assholes show up with shotguns, blasting everyone away, going "Punch a noob," we'll know what went wrong. I'm still hoping that that's sufficiently far-fetched.
Yeah, we logged into the wrong level. We should have started on a lower level.
Well, hopefully we can make them at least regret that much. But shall we choose a new topic?
We should always choose new topics. How many we got? We've gone through 3 so far. That's not too bad.
Is there a topic you'd particularly like to hit on this episode?
If there's a topic I want to hit, it's behind one of the words on this board.
Oh, so all of them.
It gets harder and harder for me to decide because at 3 shows a week, it was, a little tedious to come up with how do you continue a conversation about something, look at it from a different angle, but not cover the exact same thing. And now it's 5 times a week, and it's, okay, I got to do a little more research. Okay, I'm a little lost today. Okay, what the hell do I put in television?
I salute your industriousness. I would like to go for television, but first I want to comment upon a comment from, what was it? Let's see. Saki the Reals noted that he's 100% certain, or she for all I know, the future is not written, but it's not something they can prove. And I would note that even if you could hypothetically prove it, it would be completely pointless and utterly counterproductive to do so. Even if the future is written and there's destiny and we're all following out scripts that we don't know, well, if we knew that, the apathy that would set in afterwards would just be crippling.
Kind of like you're going to die on your 83rd birthday when you take your 3rd bite of cake. And then you get to your 82nd birthday and go, okay, I don't want cake for my 83rd birthday. And then somehow it's inevitably going to happen anyway, no matter how hard you fight it. You're just going to continue to fight it to end up where you were going to end up to start with. So, and
that's also quite implausible that all of fate would shift just to shove a piece of cake down your throat.
that inevitably would kill you.
The cake bite of death. I can only picture these Final Destination type scenarios where you're in a kitchen and a fork flies off the the wall, and it's a wedding cake that was being prepared and then bounces off the sink.
I know the name of the movie. I can't think of it. There's 3 of them, isn't there? The roller coaster and the car accident. There's 3 movies that are like that. Somebody will come up with
the crashed plane.
And I can't think of the name of the movie though. But here is television. Yeah. What happened to Claymation, stop motion filming, The Wizard of Speed and Time, and Gumby?
I'm guessing. Well, I believe you can still find Claymation if you really look for it. But also, Claymation was an incredibly time-consuming endeavor.
It very much is.
I'm guessing that many people who could have done Claymation then just eventually had to grudgingly admit that all of the digital methods are superior in regards to time and functionality.
Claymation is a pain in the ass. I'm trying to teach my son the basics of doing video on his phone. And in order to teach him the basics, I bought him this little $2 set that comes with these suction cup guys that you can put in any position. And I explained to him you have to move them like a millimeter and take another picture. And every time he comes down to me with the pictures, he goes, I don't know how to do this. I was like, you got to be patient. It takes a lot of patience.
And I wouldn't be surprised if a study were to show that, I don't know, our collective patience as a species has gone down sharply.
Yes. I'm always looking for faster, easier ways to do it on my computer, but sometimes you just gotta stop, go back, and look at it in a different way and try to slow it down and be very patient, especially when you're doing videos and you want to see something and you're going frame by frame in some cases at 60 frames per minute to go back and adjust your work. That gets very tedious, and you do need the patience for it.
It's making me tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, it does. It's when I first started doing videos, I was doing pictures of the skull that I have, and just doing the pictures and the videography and cutting the frames and, you know, taking out audio and doing all that. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of patience, and that's something you got to learn.
Yeah, I have great respect for that, but I have to say I'm not sure if I could even.
Have you ever seen a movie called The Wizard of Speed and Time?
I have not, but after seeing this, I've been intrigued. I probably will be looking it up in the near future.
It is a stop motion video. What he does in this whole thing, it's about a guy trying to get a job for a video studio, and during this whole video he is taking pictures of him doing these weird things that don't make any sense at all. But at the end of the video, you watch him play out this video that he's done with the music that goes something like, "I am the Wizard of Speed and Time, watch me move, watch me fly," something stupid like that. And he runs up walls. But in order to get the frame of him running up the wall, he had to put a tape marker or something on the wall, and then jump up and put his foot on the tape marker, and then jump up and put his foot just above the tape marker, and then jump up and put his foot above that, and then jump up and do this, that, and then jump up. And he had to do everything in such specific order and then cut all the frames together. But it was so cool to watch what he did at the end of the movie. I thought that's why that movie just stood out in my head, because it's all stop motion, and the end result was just brilliant. Awesome.
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah, it's a weird older movie, but it is a good movie when you look at the production of it and what it shows you about making movies.
Well, saying it's a weird movie or old is not something that I would consider negatives necessarily.
Yeah, it's not
anyway.
It's not the Avengers or anything fun like that, but it is pretty cool, especially if you like watching YouTube videos or how-to videos. It does a lot of explanation and whatnot. Definitely a recommended watch if you got, I think it's like an hour and a half, not a very, very long one.
You know, G. Bronert, LOL, why not just make the floor look like a wall with a camera position? Yes, that's a perfectly valid observation, but then it probably wouldn't be quite as impressive. That's my best theory, anyway.
Also, it's one of those... You get a certain aesthetic when you're doing things a certain way. If you want to make your floor look like a ceiling and then stand on it, you also have to realize that all of your clothes should be kind of pulled up you, maybe even glued in a certain position. Realize that the tiniest little details are what stands out in an end project. It's not necessarily about, oh, cool, he's standing on the ceiling because that looks like a ceiling. It's, oh, cool, he's standing on a ceiling, his hair is hanging.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
That's a much better explanation. It would be a pain in the ass to just starch it up that way.
Yeah, but you gotta do it if you want to pull off that look. I mean, you can look like you're walking on the ceiling with the chandeliers sticking up like tables in whatever that movie was, but unless your hair looks like you're upside down and your clothes look like they're draping a little, it's not gonna pull off that look you're going for. No, gravity pulls. Wormholes suck. Oh, we are back at the board. Hopefully it's not too bland. How do you like this show? We're about halfway through it.
I'm enjoying this immensely.
It's just...
I'm sorry, you might see me yawning occasionally. I was just thinking about the moving clay millimeter by millimeter still. It's hard to get out of my head, strangely enough.
I was thinking about how far Gumby moved from the beginning of the episode to the end, and where did all that clay go? He got so tiny.
Let's take a look at platforms.
Platforms it is, not the shoes. Even the news sites like Minds and Gab and others will eventually follow vague guidelines to grow?
It's possible. The problem is that everyone wants to eliminate the speech they don't like, and more importantly, they have to eliminate certain bits of speech that are just straight up illegal wherever they have to be based. Mind.com can't really just create a safe space for pedophiles, posting up kiddie porn. But I think Minds and some of the others will strive to be a lot more balanced than Twitter, at least, because, well, that's a low bar to clear increasingly.
It's difficult to say sometimes because we've looked at this at different angles, and as a company, any company you start, you want it to grow because you want to make more money on that company. In order for YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, these three mass conglomerate multinational companies to grow, they've had to abide by other nations' laws. And one of the ways we decided that it made it easier on those companies was to find a center ground among what's allowed between the countries and use that as the definitions that they approach everything by. And if you do that, you're not limiting speech because it's a private organization or a company or however you want to list it. You're not limiting speech for those who have free speech. You're just making sure you can encompass all the areas that you're providing in one general statement or term of service.
Well, at least they're not trying to. As long as you do the best not to avoid pushing a specific agenda, like, say, I don't know, stupidly banning the word gun from your shopping search.
Well,
were you aware of that?
Is that
because Google's done that very thing?
Have they? I'm going to search guns.
Oh boy, yes. Someone, let's see. Fading Dark was trying to find a glue gun. No luck. Gundams wasn't being found. Apparently, they made a point of specifically filtering out any search results for the AR. Was it 15 or 16?
The AR-16
I don't know. I don't own any guns.
I want to say the AR. I'm not a gun connoisseur, but the AR-16 I believe is the military issued model, and the AR-15 is the civilian issued or civilian sold model.
Yes. No, I believe it's the AR-15 they're specifically trying to purge. Oddly enough, results for Kalashnikov still came up. But yeah, Ian and some of the other people on Twitter are having a great big laugh riot over the fact that apparently they just had some intern put a blanket ban on anything named gun.
Well, that entertains plenty of people. Definitely entertained by glue guns being banned. I'm sorry. Makes me want to send my kid to school with a glue gun in his backpack and see what they do, but I don't want to get him in trouble.
Well, a kid already got in trouble for saying that the square root sign looked like a gun.
Oh, they better not use the framing square because one side's shorter than the other.
Yes. They searched the kid's house because he said something that, out of context, could be taken as a terroristic threat.
In order for some of these sites to be able to grow, though, they have to encompass these rules. And to encompass these rules, they've created these vague terms of service that allow them to go, well, we're not sure whether we're going to get hit, so we're going to err on the side of caution this time, which is why not everybody gets hit for the same things. So I guess the inherent question in this topic is, will these sites inevitably have to adopt similar, if not identical, terms of service and, relation statements because of the requirements of being able to move into larger areas or additional countries or grow their network how YouTube, Google, and Facebook have?
The time of the moment of truth, I suppose, is when they try to break into the more totalitarian customer bases. China, Russia. I don't know how are they handling that now? Is Gab just exclusively to the U.S.? Some parts of Europe, maybe?
I think some of them are. There are, I think, a couple of the social media sites are outright banned in certain countries. And I don't know how that all works in dictated countries like that. I really don't. If anybody is in one of those countries and would like to come on the show one time and discuss, let me know. No problem bringing it up. Give me some information, something to talk about. There is that buzzer. Ideally timed. Look at that. All right. Tuesday afternoon. Everything seems to be going by so slow. I look down and go, wow, it's almost 3 o'clock. No, 2:40. We're about 2/3 of the way through this show. Let's see if the chat has anything to rile me up a little bit, and then we'll hit the next topic. Thomas the Train came out first. It was all stop motion. So make the floor look like a wall. I read that one. Add a sense of humor type things like, no, that's the bot. Don't read the bot. Of course they will. Corporate thinking. Yes, corporate thinking. I remember how Google first started. Meta search engine grew into the monster. Does anybody remember before Google there was one with eyes? It started with a K. And there were some other school search engines that started popping up before Google did. Different sites will have slightly varied agendas to fill the various niche markets, I believe. Absolutely true. And the problem is that with any business, you're going to want to get into as many markets as possible. And when you start to expand into those new markets, you have to abide by the rules of that market area. And that causes you to change how you run your business. So Twitter and Facebook and Google and everybody else are blocking these words to, one, abide by the fact that countries have a problem, so they have written in their terms of service that they can do these things at will whenever they feel they need to. Somebody complains and they go, okay, well, we don't really need the complaint. That's negative PR. We'll just clear it and deal with it later. Clear it and deal with it later. Clear it and deal with it later. And later.
So this raises the possibility that Google banned shopping for anything with gun in it on government order?
No, it was probably err on the side of caution. Let's see if we can't try to get out of this before it becomes a larger issue than it is thing, and somebody just didn't know how to program. Hey, you're a new guy? Google wants to take guns out. Go program it for us. Yeah. Let's see what happens now.
Well, we're looking at grotesque incompetence on any level because Google wasn't really in this discussion up until they did this incredibly stupid thing.
But you have to also wonder, granted, they are separate entities in the same organizing structure, but Google and YouTube probably use damn near the same algorithms and search algorithms and code on both sites. So you have to wonder if they're trying things out on one to run on the other. Are they trying to see, okay, we're having a hard time sifting out videos. Let's see if we can just sift out certain feeds, and we'll try for this first. We'll take out guns. And they're trying to figure out how to conform the AI to read this different texture of speech out of the video by using the Google search analytics first.
I'm reminded of the time DatNoFact on Twitter was shadow banned because he retweeted a picture of a lizard being held. Apparently it looked sufficiently genitalia-like that it prompted an automatic shadow ban.
Yeah, everybody go hashtag butternut squash. Or hashtag blueballspa. What else could be benign but certainly misconstrued?
I'm strangely nostalgic for the crawler. I don't know why. Web crawler is the search engine of my childhood.
Yeah, I vaguely remember using web crawler a little bit. I was lucky enough in my childhood to get a free version of Microsoft Encarta in '97, and that got me all the way through high school.
I remember that too. How about we take a look at movies?
Movies. We could watch some movies, but let's just talk about them. IMAX was a cool way to watch videos. Would videos now be better formatted for VR worlds so the viewer could feel part of or beside the feature? That was supposed to be a question mark at the end. Yeah, that happens.
I deduced it. I'm inclined to say no. I think at this point, it might be better just to keep with the quaint, familiar screen, although IMAX still remains an awesome way to view any given nature documentary and, of course, the occasional mainstream film whenever they can haul some more people into the museum. But I think in the end, if you're going for a VR world, we're going to have technologies where you'd be playing a VR game. I don't think anyone really wants to feel like they're standing or sitting in the very room where a movie is taking place, primarily because, especially in the case of slasher films or epic disaster videos, that sounds like a terrible hassle.
Okay, I can see epic disaster videos, but you know, the slasher film, that might sound fun to be like staring through the window as shit happens and you're trying to beat on the window and you can't.
Oh, I know, but you just know the moment you start doing that, when you have a VR setting, the directors and such are going to start putting in a lot more jump scares that are a lot more precisely directed.
Oh, absolutely. And that's when you know you're going to get the best out of a film. It's when they know you're there. And it's not only, I think that came up a couple weeks ago, it's not only when you say something or do something, they all turn and look at you. It would be the whole video stops and it's aimed right at you for a moment, and then you're jump scared as the video goes on, and you're like, holy shit, what just happened to me? Was that really devoted at me, or was that part of the video? What's going on?
I'm skeptical it would work out that well in practice, but I will concede it sounds like a worthy experiment, something they should at least try. It's certainly a better idea than smell-o-vision.
Yes.
Unless they try to incorporate that too.
No, we've talked about smell-o-vision. It would be rotten.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to keep those smells precise enough, the items or the chemicals that you'd need, it would just produce rotten smells if things went wrong. It would be terrible. The new stuff on augmented reality. I've seen some of the new stuff, but nothing that's been released since, let's say, October. I did a huge kick where I was watching a bunch of the augmented reality and adaptations until about, I think it was when, just after E3 came out. I want to say that was what, August E3 was? One of the tech conferences that was in like August or September. I watched that one, and then I watched a few other things, and then I kind of, cool. We'll see where they go from there. I honestly, though, when... Again, questions become hard sometimes. When you're watching a movie and you think about what would be cool, well, different movies would have different scenes. I honestly think the hardest part of providing the feel of, or the part of the movie that it would need to feel, is for every scene that it goes to, it would have to do some sort of cut-in that you would be able to perceive properly. It would have to put you into a position where you kind of realized where you were and knew what to look at and where things were going on. So it would kind of have to direct the watcher a little more, or not, it would have to direct the viewer a little more towards what to do. But it would be like standing there staring through the window in Scrooge, when Bill Murray was standing there staring through the window on his past. You would be able to see things. They wouldn't know you're there, but you would almost feel like you were a part of that reality, even though you had no effect on that reality. That kind of view.
It'll surely be a boon to porn at the very least.
Oh, I'm porn is already adapting to VR very quickly. I'm moving on.
They recognize the opportunity, no doubt.
And I have a cheap VR headset. Come on. Porn's awesome in VR. But yeah, I was thinking, how and where does VR have left to go? And what's left to be talked about with VR? I know not everybody's seen every show, but I don't like covering the same thing twice. So what is left for VR? And I thought, well, how do you become a part of a movie?
It's intriguing. Let's see.
It's so hard to choose, isn't it?
Yes, it is. There's so many options here. Video games.
Video games are wonderful. And this is one for for some people and not for others. But why do some people cry out PC Master Race to console players?
Oh, well, this is definitely one of the easier ones. And while I wouldn't be so uncouth as to be one of those people who cry about being a part of the PC Master Race, I have to say the the advantages of the PC are numerous. Modifications were the number one thing that stood out to me. You can't really modify any console games to the extent that you can games on PC, whether or not the developers authorized it or not. Now, there's been some bleed through in the modern age, but strictly speaking, if you want to mod the hell out of Fallout or Oblivion or whatever the hell have you, PC is the way to go.
Yes.
And those mods make it worth it.
Yes. Will not disagree with that. Any game and every game that you can and would modify, play the game regular, and then download and try out as many fucking mods as you can possibly fit in your computer, because that shit gets cool. People are creative as all fucking hell. And I know a lot of mods for games are just created by players, not the game company. A lot of mods are created by players who just happen to know how to program modifications to the game. And
oh, yes.
Just some of the stuff that people come up with. And I don't buy a game when it comes out. I'll buy it a few months later, maybe a year or so. I might jump in and play it for a little while. And to jump in and see what other people do, my first thought is, wow, I'm so far behind. And my second thought is, wow, look at what they just did. That is fucking awesome. And that is why I like downloading mods and adaptations, things that allow you to do what you're thinking you want to do within the game you're playing, which on open world games is awesome. Like, my son thinks it's cool that consoles are finally starting to catch up with this modding, and Minecraft updated to allow you to mod within the Microsoft server modifications. So the three
brilliant move. Minecraft is definitely one of the gold standards for modifications changing the game.
Oh, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love the modifications, but when it comes to Minecraft, I'm a vanilla player.
I can understand that too.
But I
certainly
also have,
it's nice not to have to worry about world breaking.
Yeah, it is. I also have a different type of mod for my Minecraft, and that's I get mad when the new updates. Yes, I have both PC and console. I get mad when the new updates come out on PC. Your world does not update when the updates come out. You have to develop a new world in the update to get the updated whatnots in that world. So, I have a program that allows me to copy my, I now call it my, what was it? Mansion. I copied one of the new mansions after that release and made it 4 times the footprint and twice the height. And I developed a large mansion that has more room than I need. It has all the spaces, sorting chests. I've been working on it from world after world after world, and I just keep collecting it. It is an editor, but that's my mod. I take my mansion from one map to the same map on the next edition, or I will move it to a whole nother map. Every time I go into a world, I drop my mansion and I start exploring. So that's my mod, even though it's not really a mod.
Nice to hear me.
Did I lose you there for a second?
It seems so. Yeah, I did robot it out and then went quiet for a bit.
They could be on my end. I do have an awful lot running on my computer right now. Also, my wife is home and her phone is probably trying to connect to the Wi-Fi, which will give it that crackle ping.
Aha. Well, no worries. I'm glad it all came back.
All right. So, PC Master Race is because, well, come on. You can do so much more. There's more buttons. There's more abilities. There's more settings. There's more features. There's more adaptations. There's more mods. There's more programs. There's more you can do, period. And I'm mad that console never caught up.
If I might play devil's advocate for the consoles, they do have one advantage in that because the developers know precisely what they're working with, they can often push the hardware a lot farther.
Yes.
I'm not sure that quite balances out in any capacity, but you know, just to be fair.
If you
But they
play,
can say that at least.
if you play a game on your computer versus a game on your, I'm looking at my Xbox One, so let's use that. You play the same game on both systems. Your Xbox One is going to run almost 100% fluid, almost 100% of the time, because they were designed to run each other. Your computer was designed to be able to run the games. Cool. Your processor designed to be able to move as fast as it can. Cool. But the programming in your processor cannot also take into account everything else that you've ever done on your computer and all the settings that you have. So you're going to get glitches, you're going to get lag, you're going to get the hiccups on your computer. Period. No matter how good your computer is, you're going to see it. Way more than you see it on a console. So yeah, I
unless the developers really screwed the pooch, which I suppose has happened a few times in recent years.
Yes, it has. Oh, I think we will call that the last topic for the show today, being that we are a couple of minutes on the hour. And we will start the friendly banter. I'm going to ask, I know you have already, throw your link in that chat again, because you guys got to go see something, because I am looking on one of the 15 or 16 screens I have open right now is this guy in a white lab coat with these awesome welding goggles and these black gloves. I'm assuming they're welding-ish goggles.
These aren't really classified. Well, the one that I'm wearing presently aren't classified as any sort of goggles. I think I actually made them myself, or designed them anyway. The glasses I had been using previously was, modified sunglasses. But it's the same idea in any case.
But you guys got to check it out. It's pretty cool looking. He's got his whole setup behind him, much like I do my stage here, but his is all just IRL. It's pretty cool looking. Go check him out. Throw your link back in the... Yep, you did.
Yes.
How did you like this game? It's something different. I try to keep it mellow and easy going.
I enjoyed it immensely, and I hope to be back at some point in the future.
Absolutely. I try to get as many voices as I can. I'm glad you reached out to me. I don't know if it was a tweet or a retweet, but I appreciate it.
It was just a tweet, and it was actually through Lo-Fi, who I'd recently followed.
And she will be on, not to spoil the rest of the week, but Lo-Fi is scheduled to be on Thursday at 2 p.m. So that will be interesting. I've never chatted with her either, assuming it's a her.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's a her.
Odds are fair. And I stumbled across them through Thorn Midnight.
Yes, I sort of watched some Thorn Midnight. I also noticed we have a few new people that were in here. I don't know if they're still hanging out. Where did they go? Blastia. And I'm going to be on their show somewhere in the beginning of March. I have it written down, but it's not in front of me. I apologize. The closer it gets, the more details I will have for everybody. With that, this has been The Great Debate. I don't know why the credits aren't reading my actual moderators' names. I'm trying to get this shit to work and be cool for all of you that show up. Make it fun. I'm trying to...
Again, I sympathize acutely.
Thank you for coming by today. It has been great having you. Feels like a mellow
It has been
Tuesday.
great being here.
And to everybody else, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be holding the next episode of The Great Debate. If you or anybody you know would like to be on the show, please DM me, Discord me, get hold of me some way, shape, or form, and I will get you on the show. This has been another episode of The Great Debate. Thank you very much for coming. Let's see if all my scenes are working properly, and I will get some outro music to go.